I wanted to learn how to make wine in my own home. I didn't want to spend hundreds of dollars on equipment to make wine. I didn't want it to be some methodical science experiment that I knew was going to go wrong. And so I learned how to make small batch wine in 1-quart mason jars. Hey, today I'm going to show you guys how to make peach and blackberry wine. The recipe's almost exactly identical. Winemaking is adventurous, exciting, and sometimes a little bit scary for me, but I always have a good time doing it. So I'm going to make the recipe very plain and simple for you guys. I'm going to show you how to put it together and make small batch wine in your own home. Let's get to it. I'm Dandy and the Navy Man. Let's make some wine together. Alright, to make today's wine, we're going to need some mason jars. I'm using quart-size mason jars. If you want to use a half gallon, just multiply the recipe by 2, and a gallon by 4, and so on and so forth. We're also going to be needing some air locks. It's going to allow carbon dioxide escape while keeping air out of the wine. Later on in the winemaking process, we're going to need a siphon to move the wine from one container to another. Then, of course, we're going to need some delicious fruit. Today I'm using blackberries and peaches to make some absolutely yummy country wine. And as a crucial ingredient in winemaking of any kind, we're going to be adding yeasty boys. I'm using Premier Blanc wine yeast. Please do not use normal yeast. It will not give you the desired effect that we're looking for. For flavor, we'll be adding tannin, acid blend, and pectin. Last but not least, we'll be adding, you guessed it, we love it, sugar! It may not be my favorite part of winemaking, but it certainly is a crucial step, sanitation. Sanitation is key to the success of our wine. Like I said, wine is very forgiving, but I'd much rather be safe than sorry. I'm simply adding a capful of bleach to some water and cleaning out all the utensils and equipment that I'll be using to make my wine today. And on to our wine recipe. Today we'll be using 1 pound of fruit per wine. That's 1 pound of peaches and 1 pound of blackberries. We'll be using 1.5 cups of sugar per wine, 1 yeast packet, 1/16 teaspoon of tannin, 1/8 teaspoon pectic enzyme, and 1/4 teaspoon acid blend. Okay, so let's get cooking. So I'm going to throw the fruit at the bottom of the jar. I'm going to put a little bit in the bottom, and then I'm going to put some sugar on top. I'm layering it just because I like that the sugar has access to more fruit whenever I throw it in there. Then I'm going to throw some fruit on top. I apologize that I'm a messy layerer. Then I'm going to throw more sugar on the top at the very end. As you let this sit for a few hours, the sugar will pull the water out of the fruit and make a nice little gelatinous mixture that'll be ready for mixing. Now that we have let our fruit and sugar mixture sit for a few hours, we're ready to thoroughly mix it before adding our tannin, pectic enzyme, and acid blend. Making small batch wine is fun and exciting, and every time I try a new wine, I learn something new along the way. If you have any ideas that come at you that are more effective and maybe a little bit easier, go for it. Every batch is unique, exciting, and there's always something to learn. Once our fruit, sugar, tannin, pectic enzyme, and acid blend are all thoroughly mixed, it'll be time to bloom our yeast. You want to put your yeast packet into a small amount of warm water, not scalding hot or it'll kill your yeast, but not too cold or else it won't effectively bloom your yeast. And wait for something amazing to happen, I guess. I've seen better. Okay, now that we have the yeast added, we want to make sure that we have enough room on the top for expansion because your fruit will expand and your bubbler will overflow, and we'll go ahead and put those airlocks right on the jars, and then we wait patiently. The most important part of winemaking, patience. Okay, so now we have some juice and some crushed fruit and whatever this gross stuff on the bottom is in a jar. And so I'm sure you're asking yourself, now what do I do? Well, I'll tell you. In 2 to 3 weeks, this is what you're going to do. You're going to get a clean mason jar. You're going to get a siphon. You're going to put the siphon above all this stuff that you don't want to transfer to the next jar. And you're going to pump the contents of this jar into a clean mason jar. And then, if you so please, you can use a mesh cloth and juice all the fruit into your wine. Naturally, the level will be a little bit lower. So what I do is I fill it up with water the rest of the way, about 1/4 inch from the top. You could just put it right at this rim here. And if you so please, you can actually, what they call, back sweeten it. That will mean that you're putting sugar into the water that you're adding to the wine. I love sweet wine, so I'm definitely going to back sweeten it. So you take the remaining space, fill it with water, or sweetened water if you so choose, and then you let it sit for 2 to 3 weeks to 2 to 3 months. What you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking for this bubbler right here to stop bubbling. That's going to mean that your secondary phase of fermentation is slowed or is stopped. I watched the bubbler go for an entire 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes, if no bubbles come up, then you're probably good. You're probably ready to either drink the wine or rack it into a bottle. Making wine in quart-sized mason jars is a little bit different than making it in a 5-gallon container. I just drink it right out of the mason jar. I don't bother racking it to a wine bottle. Honestly, it's way too much work to take this and put it into a wine bottle when it's already ready to go and I can just pour it right into a wine glass and enjoy. So to recap, in 2 to 3 weeks, move the contents of this jar into a clean mason jar, keeping away the fruit pulp and the gross looking grime on the bottom, the sediment, if you will. And then once your bubbler stops bubbling in a period of 5 minutes, then you're ready to enjoy your wine. This is my strawberry wine that was finished fermenting actually a while ago, but I was just too afraid to actually open it up and give it a whirl. If you notice, this does not have that thick color that our fresh, now fermenting wine has. As you can tell, this has a much clearer quality and it's ready to be drank. Bon appetit. Now, of course, I can't finish up this video without first talking to you about the Country Wisdom Bulletin that really helped me out on the path to success. Making wine in mason jars is a start for me. My dream is to be able to make those 5-gallon batches of wine and to make them to perfection and to be able to enjoy them with all my friends. But I'm a little bit nervous and anxious about the whole process, and so I took the time to make small batch wine, to fine-tune the details, to get rid of that level of fear and anxiety, because if you fail small. At the 5-gallon level, when you fail big, and I just want to ease myself in and get used to the whole process. In Country Wisdom Bulletin, making homemade wine has really cleared up a lot of the difficulties and complexities of winemaking. This is absolutely a next level booklet. The steps that I gave you were very plain, very simple. Making homemade wine will take you through every minute detail of winemaking in your home. It starts off with an introduction. It tells you that winemaking is easy. It's the easiest alcohol to make. It's forgivable and it's fun to do. Then the booklet takes you through what equipment you need. If you're going to be more precise in making larger batches of wine, you're going to need more equipment than the things that I use here. When you want to fine-tune the details of your winemaking and you're making larger batches, of course you're going to be using more equipment for that precision that you want to get that perfect wine. Making homemade wine will go through ingredients. It'll tell you what ingredients must you have. And then what are some optional ingredients. It'll tell you what flavors do you want to have and how do we get you to getting that flavor. What ingredients do we need to add to make sure that your wine tastes the way that you intended it. Of course, it'll take you through basic techniques of the winemaking process. So before you even start your step-by-step guide, you'll have a handle and an idea on what the end goal is, what you're going to be doing, and how to get that final finished result. It'll give you ranges of acidity for your wine, ranges of temperature to keep your wine in while you're fermenting your wine. And of course, it will emphasize the necessity for absolute cleanliness to ensure the success of your wine. Then, it'll actually take you step by step through their winemaking process. It will absolutely differ from the process that I showed you today, but I think that their process is very sound, very practiced, and comes from a lot of experience. Then, they'll take you through the day-to-day of your wine fermentation. It'll take you from day 1 all the way out to year 40 if that's the goal that you have. I want my wine to be drinkable in a few months. I don't have the patience yet for a 40-year wine, but we'll see. And then the ever so helpful section in the end of this pamphlet, troubleshooting. You have a problem, they have a solution. They express that they have had almost every problem you can imagine when it comes to winemaking, and they offer helpful solutions to actually redeem your wine. Lastly, they offer a selection of recipes for your winemaking. I always thought that there was red wine, white wine, country wine, and that was really it. This pamphlet has recipes for ciders, carrot wines, other vegetable wines, flower wines. It is absolutely a very creative start on your winemaking journey. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you do go out and make your own homemade wine, and I hope it turns out well. All of my wine so far has turned out great, and I'm very happy and grateful for that because I was very afraid that I was going to destroy my wine. But it has all turned out well, and I'm glad. As always, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you like the content I'm putting out and you want to keep learning new exciting things, please subscribe to my channel. Go on making wine, have a great time doing it, have fun, and have a great day. Thanks, guys.